Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today is another pre-recorded draft from a while ago. While I'm out on vacation, we're doing another Murders at Karlov Manor quick draft as we walk through the multiverse here. Pretty cool rares in this pack, very powerful stuff. We have Doppelgang, which is great for late game grindy green decks. This is one of the biggest bombs in the format if you manage to cast it at like 8 mana. It's just a little difficult to do that because it's a relatively aggressive format, but still the best reason in the entire set to be playing a green deck. There's also 10th District Hero, which is the much safer card, also very, very powerful. This is a powerful aggressive white spell, and the aggressive white spells are some of the best stuff you can be doing in this format. So if I just wanted to win here, I would slam 10th District here and play another aggressive white-based deck. But our first draft of this return trip, we did go for blue-white detectives, a tempo aggro deck. So let's see how the other half of the format manages to play out, showing off the best grindy deck, which is green-based ramp stuff. So let's grab the Doppelgang here. For pick number 2, we got a really good card for that deck. Buried in the Garden is both a removal spell and a ramp spell at the same time. It is exactly what the green ramp decks want. It's helping fix our mana and ramp into the Doppelgang while dealing with a threat that's currently beating down to buy us some time. And it's a great target to copy with Doppelgang because it copies any permanents. It can absolutely copy auras. So Buried in the Garden is pretty much the perfect card to see following up a Doppelgang pack 1, pick 1. Pick number 3, another fantastic spell, is a Killer Among Us. 5 mana for a 4/4 and 2 1/1s essentially. You are forced to attack with the creature that you want to make a 4/4 one time, but it's still really good stat line for that cost. So I like a Killer Among Us here a lot. Long Goodbye is a solid removal spell as well, but we're already green, white, and blue. So we'd have to be super splashy to get that into. I'm just going to take another excellent green spell. Pick number 4, they went this way as one of the weaker ramp spells. Put a land on the board, get a clue token, doesn't impact the board at all. It's still definitely a safer pick than Whipcracker, but Whipcracker has a much higher potential upside. A 2 mana 3/2 on curve just helps to trade off and get some early blockers going, but it is really, really good if your opponent has some creature tokens. There's like a 2/2 detective tokens, there's 1/1 dog tokens. Killing even a 1/1 with this when it hits the board is a great 2-for-1. So I'm going to speculate on this. Again, just as awkward as speculating on the black removal spell earlier, to where that's a lot of colors to be playing, but maybe we're green-black at the core, splashing a tiny bit of white, splashing a tiny bit of blue, something like that could work out. And here's a Not on My Watch, which is great defensive removal, and we're going to be the defensive deck trying to get to super high mana values. Pick number 6, Nervous Gardener. This is one of the really excellent pieces of mana fixing because it is also going to be a creature you can trade off with early in the game in order to buy you some time while hitting your multiple potential splash colors. So it's a little awkward to pass and Not on My Watch for it, but it's a really important card to get these green multicolor decks ticking in this format. Pick number 7, Flourishing Bloomkin's really nice in the ramp decks too. When we flip this up later, we get multiple forests, one of them onto the battlefield tap, the other into our hand, so it gets us to those high mana values we need to hit for Doppelgang. This pack has a bunch of fine role fillers for very specific archetypes that are just really mediocre in any other deck, and none of those archetypes are ours, so we're just going to take a filler 3 mana 2/2. Pick number 9, once again, filler role fillers, the best being Felonious Rage for aggressive decks, but we are definitely not aggressive. So I'm going to take Flotsam Jetsam here, which will probably not play, but if I have a bunch of cards that really want to collect evidence, that's a mechanic that cares about exiling high mana value cards from your graveyard, and this counts as 8 mana value worth of spells. So super, super high mana value in your grave, plus it mills 3 when you cast Flotsam to really fuel any collect evidence cards. Pick 10, Topiary Panther, perfectly fine. You draw it late in the game, you play 6/5 Trampler, you draw it early, you get whatever color you need. Great fixing for the green multicolor decks. Pick number 11, Pick Your Poison's not quite main deckable as far as I remember, but maybe these other two are definitely not for this deck. Pick 12, we got They Went This Way to just wheel around the pod, so we can still take it and try it out if we don't get enough other fixing. And a Benthic Criminologist for the side. Pack 2, pick 1. I'm really happy there's an Enlisted Worm in this pack, because if there weren't an Enlisted Worm in this pack, I'd be taking a Teysa. And that is a very bold pick here. Because again, green-white at the core, splashing in blue towards the Doppelgang is how we look right now. So Teysa is a really strong card, but she's stronger the more aggressive your deck is, the more you're able to actually attack, chip damage in on your opponent, and get those extra clue tokens. You really only need to get the first attack, though, because once you get that, you get to start cracking clue tokens and making a flying spirit every time you do that, so that the future flying spirits keep hitting your opponent for one and getting the investigating going. So she'd still be good here, just not as good as if we were a dedicated black-white aggro deck, and she's a very risky mana cost, whereas Enlisted Worm is honestly almost as strong as Teysa, maybe even equally powerful, and it's much easier for our deck to cast. A 6 mana 5/5 that casts the next card out of your deck for free, really, really strong 2-for-1. So happy to take Enlisted Worm, and it's really iconic and classic to me, because the very first Magic cards I ever bought was a fat pack of Alara Reborn. So I love Alara, I love the Cascade mechanic, I love this card. Come on in, Enlisted Worm. Pack 2, pick 2. Now we've got a Vitu-Ghazi Inspector, which is a solid early game blocker against the more aggressive decks, just a 2 mana 1/3 reach, but you draw it later, you get a 2/4 reach and gain some life, make it even better blocker. Just a nice defensive spell, which is exactly where green wants to be. This pack's a little awkward for us. We could use more removal, but splashing in red removal is going really far. And it's, again, this time it's a bunch of really good role fillers for the right deck. Like Private Eye in a Detectives deck, great. Splashed into this Bant deck, very filler. Dog Walker, great for the Boros Tokens deck. Splashed in off of just double white and a green-white deck splashing blue. Just okay. This is probably still our best option. I don't think I'm going to want to run a million copies of They Went This Way. And I've got They Went This Way. I've got a Nervous Gardener. I've got a Bloomkin ramping later. I've got a Buried in the Garden ramping. I've got a Topiary Panther I can cycle for another land at 2 mana as well. I don't think I want that additional ramp spell. At least not this early. And it'll probably come back around based on what happened last pack. So let's just get a Dog Walker for filler blockers. Pick 4. Case of the Shattered Pact is like a really fun dream, a really fun goal to try to hit. But 2 mana, grab a basic, put it into your hand is not quite worth the card if you're not getting some kind of extra value off of it, and it's an incredibly, incredibly rare case to ever solve. Even if you are a 5-color deck, you have to actively have 5 different colors of permanence on the battlefield, and your lands are all technically colorless, so you have to have a resolved blue, white, black, red, green creature. It just does not get solved often at all. It is fine for these 4 or 5-color splashy decks still, just as the grab a basic out of your deck, but I don't think it's worth taking over an excellent counterspell like Repulsive Mutation. This turns any random idiot, just 2/2 Ward 2 face down card, into a massive win condition while countering your opponent's best play at the same time. Repulsive Mutation is quite excellent. Alright, I see how it is, Ernie. You can give me a second shot at it. I'll take the Case of the Shattered Pact this time. I don't think we're ever unlocking that, but again, it's already just reasonable for these green-based super splashy decks. Here's Not on My Watch for more defensive removal. Pick number 7. Oh boy, Evidence Examiner. Every time we're collecting evidence out of our grave, we're also investigating and getting a clue token, and it can collect evidence by itself if we're not doing anything else like that. Evidence Examiner is great. Definitely take that. So green, blue, splash, white, because all of our white spells are late game removal. That makes the Dog Walker a little worse. Another Topiary Panther for fixing looks awesome. This pack is, again, solid cards for decks, just not our deck. Same here. And probably for the rest of this pack, I'm actually going to rare draft uncommons. Okay, 2 Case of the Shattered Pact if we do get permanents of every color. Pack 3, pick 1. So I think Not on My Watch is better for our deck than Assassin's Trophy. We would rather just be killing creatures than any other permanents, and this way we can kill creatures without giving our opponents any lands. We're also exiling them to prevent any graveyard mechanics, like any evidence from being collected from our opponent. Yeah, this is a Not on My Watch here. If we could wheel the Vitu-Ghazi Inspector, that'd be excellent. 2 options here for pack 3, pick 2. We can ramp up with a Tunnel Tipster, or we can grab a push for 2 mana destroy a tapped creature just off of white. What is our creature count? 9? I think I need creatures really badly. I mean, how am I doing on removal? I've got 1 counter spell, but then I've got Buried in the Garden and 3 Not on My Watch. This is really good with collect evidence cards too, though. 1 and a white, destroy their creature that attacked us. Collect the evidence off of it with Evidence Examiner or Inspector later, maybe. I think I'm gonna go push pull over the Mana Dork. That could be wrong, but I think I've got a lot of good cards that are picking up mana already. So let's get another removal spell there. Here's another Inspector or Escape Tunnel. So early blocker or fixing. How am I doing on actual early blockers? I think I'm doing really bad. 2 2-mana blockers. These are all 3 mana blockers off of the Disguise mechanic. 5 mana play, 6 mana play. These are technically 6 mana creatures, but early game they're never creatures. Yeah, I want more early creatures, I think. I'm taking Vitu-Ghazi Inspector here. Pick number 4. Ooh, this is a hard pick. We have Tunnel Tipster and Forensic Researcher, which can ramp us up. The Researcher also can collect evidence turn over turn to trigger the Evidence Examiner. The problem is there's also Surveillance Monitor, which is also really good with our other collect evidence cards. And by itself, it's already spitting out a 1/1 flying blocker if we have a card in our grave to exile for it. 4 mana, 3/3 plus 1/1. Nice chunky roadblock there. Take the Surveillance Monitor. Pick 5, another Repulsive Mutation is wonderful. Pick number 6. Honestly, Gravestone Strider is actually pretty helpful for these really splashy decks. That, or we can just try to protect a 1-of threat later. It's like a 2 mana Snakes Can Veil. Or 4 mana Tempo Counterspell. Kind of high. I'm gonna take the Strider here. Solid early blocker. Pick 7. I like card draw towards drawing our big balmy plays like Worm and Doppelgang and Mutations. These are our 4 win conditions, really. So digging to them is quite helpful. Although Crime Stopper Sprite can trigger the 2 collect evidence cards, the Evidence Examiner and the Surveillance Monitor. So that is not bad either. But this also plays well with counter spells, and we've got double mutation. I'm going to take the instant speed double card draw. Speaking of playing well with counter spells, let's get another one. Come on in. Reasonable Doubts. Another Vitu-Ghazi Inspector here. Aftermath Analyst is fine too, but I really don't want to end up milling my Doppelgang. I will genuinely cry about it the rest of the draft, so we'll take Inspector. Furtive Courier. I don't think I quite have enough clue tokens to make this playable, but it's probably better than Scoundrel. I guess what's nice about Scoundrel is just playing it face down and then having a 6 mana value card in our grave. Maybe Scoundrel was actually better than Courier in this deck. I wouldn't play an Offender at large. I wouldn't play one that I could never flip up, but one that I probably won't flip up most of the time is still okay if it's just a high mana value collect evidence card. All right, you can tell what format I'm drafting here. I am a slow deck trying to hit big late game plays, and I still have 5 million 2 mana plays because I'm scared. All right. Deck looks great. We have no way of ever solving these cases, and I have 2 Panthers anyway, so I don't think I'm playing those at all. I have enough collect evidence cards. I think Flotsam Jetsam is probably fine. Push and pull definitely is. Courier doesn't look great. Dogwalker's really hard for us to flip. White is definitely a splash. And then the laundry's pretty filler. It's just another flipper. I guess I gotta cut all these. Unless I cut a land, which isn't completely insane with double land cycler there. This flips into another land as well there. But I don't think I'm going to cut a land. I'm going to cut Flotsam Jetsam. So, mana base here. No black sources, that's for sure. Tons of green. 15 green cards, 7 blue, 6 white. The white cards are removal spells. We can wait a little bit longer for those than creatures, like a 2-drop Examiner, 4-drop Monitor. So I'm cool with significantly more blue than white, but relatively even is also probably fine. If I do want to cut one more land to get more green sources in here to be able to cast They Went This Way and cycle Panthers and flip Gardeners consistently, I think I'm cutting a white over a blue though. So we'll do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to grab any basic out of the deck means we have 7 total ways to get white, 8 with Gravestone Strider. I think that's good enough. All right, very different deck from our first draft of this return trip, which is exactly where I wanted to end up. Still looks pretty powerful, and I'm pretty excited to see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay, cross our fingers, and hope not to run against too much aggro. No green source in the opener. If I had to make a rule before getting into the gameplay about when to mulligan, I would probably say mulligan any hand without a green source in it. But this hand is an exception. We have 2 early removal spells out of the available white mana. One of those removal spells gives me all the evidence that I need to play Surveillance Monitor on 4 for another blocker. This hand is genuinely fine without green mana. So our opponent is on black-white, but they have the detective case, so all their detectives get a little bigger. All of our cheap removal is awkward against the ward face downs, because we have to pay 2 extra mana to try to clear those out. Another one. Okay. Let's get my evidence here, shall we? Destroy that, pay the extra 2. Now I have all the evidence for a 3/3 plus a 1/1 flyer. And then I can go for like a double block and have Not on My Watch up. I've got multiple creatures on board, so if one of my creatures remains, I also have the Repulsive Mutation to be absolutely massive the turn after this. I'm very, very happy with this case of the Pilfered Proof from our opponent. That card is the MVP of this game. 2 mana, do literally nothing. It's given us a lot of leeway here, a lot of extra time, over if they just had like a 2 mana 2/2 or something. Against triple open black, I don't want to try to Repulsive Mutation that and have them have a murder or something like that. I think murder is in this set. I don't remember, honestly. Whale shoot. No value that turn. Oh, hey there, buddy. Come on out. Let's see what we get. I'm spinning the wheel. Amogus. Yes. Get a 5-drop. The human's the killer. I wonder who the killer is. The world may never know. Alright, they're down to 15. I'm doing well enough on blocks to hold up mutation. Flip up a 4-2. When that dies, they do 2 damage to something else. Mardu from our opponent, red, white, and black. Destroy me, worm! Well, I can force them to double removal spell it at worst. Actually force them to just double removal spell in general. If I put this somewhere else. Spread out the threats. That seems fine. I guess I could play around like a shock by still targeting the worm with it. But I like having the wider board post removal. If it resolves this way. It was probably safe to just put it on the worm. Yeah, I should have just put the counters on the worm. Because if I put the counters somewhere else, and they have the removal to then kill that, they get to kill that and the worm. Instead of if I try to use the counter on the worm and they just spent all the removal just for the one worm. Oh, this Inspector puts a counter on any creature. Maybe I should have pre-combated that. That's really nice. Obviously, not as familiar as ever with these cards. It's been a long time. I mean, technically, I drafted yesterday because I did the blue-white detectives draft, but didn't play with these green cards at all. Play the second Inspector. If I have the evidence, then this is a 3/3 attacker, which is really good. Got not on my watch if they flip up something particularly terrifying. I should have flipped up and gotten the land there since I already decided not on my watch at that point. Alright, we can still win through a board wipe, which is not something I would say particularly often, definitely with Doppelgang. 2/4 Inspector. You can mutation even when there's not a spell in the stack. So if I just attack and they don't block, I can just mutation up to 2 and get the kill if they tap out. Alright, well that works too. Repulsive mutation is gross. And that is 1-0 heading into game number 2. Game number 2, ooh baby, we're ramping. We're also taking a ton of damage for opponents aggressive, but we're on the play at least. Helps a lot. Killer Among Us is a great card to Doppelgang as well. 5,000 creatures on board. Gleaming Gear Drake. Alright, blue-red, very good archetype. They make a lot of clue tokens, and there's a bunch of cards that like to sack artifacts or get benefits when they sack artifacts, so sacking the clues can get a lot of damage in really quickly. Nervous Gardener. Let's flip up the Gardener first, because it's 5 to flip, so I can't flip it next turn. But I can flip the Gardener and play the next one face down. Unless they want to shock my face down, which is fine because it taps them out for the whole turn, so that slows them down plenty for my tastes. All good with me. Detective Satchel, really good grindy value card. Every time they sack a clue now, they get a 1/1 flyer as well. Super gross. Mutation's a turn too late, sadly. But I can hold it up here and then just flip up my Bloomkin. If I don't mutation. Yeah, they have really good plays without even casting a spell now with all those clue tokens. You just sack a couple clues, get a flyer. Play the Drone Smith though instead. Well, that makes me happy. I don't feel tapped. I can hold up one not on my watch, or I can play a Killer Among Us, or I can flip up that towards Doppelgang, but I have nothing to Doppelgang yet. Anyway. Big Merfolk. Now they start cracking the clues. Galvanize my face down. Pretty rude, but I still got good plays without the Doppelgang mana yet. You better block the right one. She don't even care if a 1/1 trades off, but if they block the wrong one, that's great for me. I should have picked human again. I knew it. Knew it all along. Green, blue, 1, 2, 3. 2 lands away from Doppelgang for 2. I could still just make a Detective Satchel, I guess, but I think I'm supposed to wait. Person of interest. Yeah, now I'm a single land draw from the Doppelgang for 2. Yeah, I'm definitely supposed to wait for 2 because I get either 1 copy of Detective Satchel for 5 mana, or 2 copies of Satchel and 2 copies of like Person of Interest or something for 8. Like it's just such a significantly bigger card at 8 mana. Like it's not just twice as much, it's 4 times as much. Another Gearbane. Make 4/4, get a 1/1. Thank you, top deck. Very cool. I thought I was ordering the stack to where these are at the bottom of the stack like they visually were, and then the detectives are at the top of the stack. With the detectives at the top of the stack, I get the clues before the orangutans resolve. That's so counterintuitive. That's frustrating. I mean, it's really good either way. Oh, you have to pick before resolution is what that was? Oh. Okay, never in a million years would I've played that correctly in paper. I would have just cheated, apparently. I'm gonna like get my clues, sack the clues, make the Gearbanes bigger. That's not a legal play, apparently. Alright, Doppelgang MVP. We just reverse double satchel them, which is brutal. Just insanely rude. Can I at least cascade into a counter spell so it doesn't feel as bad? Nope. We hit a very relevant card. GG from opponent. And there's the concession. Yeah, because now I've got a 5/5 worm. I'm getting another clue token every turn. I'm going to have an endless supply for the double satchel. Doppelgang stays busted. We are 2-0 heading into game 3. On the play for game number 3 now. 2 mana Gravestone Strider, 3 mana counter and make it a 2/4 is something I can do if they play something scary early. That gives me a 2-drop, a 3-drop. Just need to draw a couple things to do between then and a listed worm. Uh-oh. White is one of the most aggressive colors, and they have started with a 1-drop creature. Luckily, we've got multiple 1/3s to block the early threats like that. Oh, it is blue-white. Very, very strong archetype. We got our 7-win run with that last draft. I was going to say, I don't know what the nice is about. Well, it's that they're the same deck as us. That's very funny. They got a lot of Novice Inspector value, though. Get the Jaded Analyst to send in. Yeah. I'm going to slow them down with a Not on My Watch. I think we have enough removal to throw this out early. Yeah, case in point. My god, would you stop? I'm just going to make them stop. Count unless they pay 3. If they have the bounce spell for the Strider, that's kind of nasty. But we do force them to use the bounce spell really early, just on a 1/3, so it's not the end of the world either. They don't have the mana for the clue either. Okay. Luckily, no bounce. Play their own Strider? That's funny. 1 land draw away from Enlisted Worm. I'm taking like 3 damage, even if they removal spell this Strider. I'm gonna get greedy with Inspector and just wait for the 6th evidence. 5th and 6th evidence comes from Not on My Watch. Okay, that I need to kill badly. But I can't until they attack with it. Here's They Went This Way. Gives us the worm mana and a clue token to crack. If... Do I need double white or double blue for anything? No. So the clue to crack if we don't cast Not on My Watch. They choose a Novice Inspector instead of the Private Eye. Fair enough, fair enough. That way I can't kill Private Eye with the Not on my watch. Alright, you got me. 2 damage. Comes in. I have 2 big misses if I cast Enlisted Worm. If I hit Doppelgang or I hit my counterspell, that's bad. And then I just get a 5/5. Otherwise, this is great. Wait, where is the card? That's a Not on my watch. Alright. Which has no target, so that also doesn't work. Yeah, Enlisted Worm is actually a bit weaker in here than normal. I forgot we have all the Not on my watches too that it doesn't work with. So we have 2 counterspells, 1 Doppelgang, and 3 Not on my watches. The Deuce is fantastic. Surveillance Monitor is awesome with Vitu-Ghazi Inspector. See if I can get them to cast anything here. They could block with 2 2/3s and a 1/3 instead of playing around any tricks. That would be rough for me. Dang it. Punted a little there. Not a good attack. Oh, especially if they do cast something. That actually didn't change the combat at all, though. I was only going to kill 1 card regardless at that point. One, two, three, 4. That would have been even worse for me if they just didn't even play the combat trick. Because now at least that trick is out of the way. But it also gives them the clue for the unblockable attack this turn, hit for a few points of damage. Jetsam, cast one of the things from my grave for free. Enlisted Worm, ugh, come on. Alright, Exit Specialist is not that good here. But the worm itself is quite strong. Oh. Cascade triggers when you cast it. Dang it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm only 1 land draw away from doppelganging. Oh no, it's 3 per. So it's green, blue, 1, 2, 3. So it's 5, then it's 8, then it's 11. 2 surveillance monitors and 2 novice inspectors seems really reasonable to me. That still seems like a winning game while they're tapped out and we know they don't counter. It actually is going to be a pretty long time until 3 permanents. Four. Get 3 Thopters each time. Oh my god. Whee! They have no reach over there. Let's go. I Did not realize how many Thopters this was going to be. That was definitely worth casting right now instead of trying to wait for another 2 lands. Beat 11. Because, I mean, we killed pretty dang fast. Especially when making another soon enough. Another 3 Thopters. I guess no, because I'm not getting any mana value into the grave right now. Getting 2 mana value maybe next turn, also not on my watch. I need 6 for Inspector to collect evidence. Ooh, hello, Repulsive Mutation. Wrong card. Another exit specialist. No. Tragic. Still dead and 2 more swings in the sky. Because Repulsive Mutation for the buff. +4. Unless they pay 7. They would have to tap out and then the Strider would still be around, but... Yeah, I guess I should do that. Just to make sure they can't outrace me. Survives whether or not they pay for it now. Pay to 7, alright. Goodbye, 1, 2. Two more mana value in my grave lets me use Inspector. I do lose the gigantic Strider if I do it, but triggering the 3 monitors again feels worth it, honestly. Oh, killing the worm puts it back in my grave. That's crazy. Alright, there's a concession from our opponent. They are just over it with the surveillance monitor nonsense. That is 3-0. At least a 50-50 average record here from now on, but I'm going to try to just keep this win streak rolling. Alright, here we are on the play for game 4. No white source for the push and pull is a little awkward. If we find it and we get to use this as cheap removal, then these collect evidence cards are going to be great value, though. I think this is a keep. We have 2 good early plays. Probably lead with Inspector, because I care less about that dying to some kind of removal. And it does block a little better with the 3 toughness. Topiary Panther. Well, that gives me the white source and the evidence for Evidence Examiner. I want to have the Examiner trigger the turn that I play it, so even if they removal spell immediately when they untap, I got at least 1 card of value out of it. So that's why I'm doing it in this order instead of starting with Evidence Examiner. If I started with Examiner and then they killed it and then it went to my turn and I cycle Panther, I'd be pretty sad. Face down card. Okay. No. I don't remember what 2-mana spells I have. I have the exile and attacking creature, maybe, if they flip that up out of white. Yeah, I could probably, like, pay like this. No, I forgot I had a 2-mana blue counterspell, too. That's on me. Killer Mongoose is 5 evidence in our grave. Surveil 2 from Rubble Belt Maverick here, setting up the draws for our opponent. Yeah, I'm getting the evidence ready here. It takes multiple turns though, right? The turn I play it, I don't sack it. I sack it the turn after I play it, but I have to wait till I've already declared an attack to get the counters. At which point that's already after evidence examiner triggers. It's not perfect with collect evidence, but it's decent. I don't think I should do this, but I kind of want to play the mini game here. And attack all. I shouldn't attack with evidence examiner, but I'm gonna play the minigame and see if they block the wrong one. Because it would be funny and fun. And Killer Among Us only puts the counters on a creature token specifically, so you can't like choose Merfolk and then also have it work with Evidence Examiner. Okay. Cool with me. Uncounterable. Oh. I understand why they put them in this format so that they get around the ward ability. But it's still really annoying when you run like full-on actual counter spells and they just don't work. Should have made some kind of ability that's just specifically uncounterable by ward. But that would probably be way too complex. And this way they get to make plants that work in constructed plants that also work really well in limited. Like Long Goodbye. I could suspect their blocker. Because I have the push-pull to kill it. Yeah, that's probably worth it. My thought process was like, I want to suspect it and then have it end up being like a really scary threat. But then I was like, wait, I have the push-pull to kill it if it is a big scary threat, so I shouldn't have cared. Alright, let's just keep drawing cards until I draw my Doppelgang and then just pop off. Play a Topiary Panther, hope that it dies so I draw another card off of it. If it doesn't die, I guess that's our current win con. Extract the Confession, make me sack the 6-power creature. Sick. Get to draw another card. Ooh, and I get to kill the face down? Which means I draw another card later? Sure. They're down to 1 card in hand. Okay, not even later. I get to do it immediately. Let's go boom there. Get a clue. Go to combat. Get a clue. Wow. That's pretty awesome. That's also pretty awesome. Just sack a creature to target that at all. I'm gonna have to be chumping that thing, and I'm getting drained for life as I'm chumping it. Sketchy. I'm gonna deduce here to have 4 evidence engraved for Examiner again. Oh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god, I'm gonna do it again. Oh wait, X is not 8. I would be in Magical Christmas Land if it was. This is ridiculous. Double Vein Ripper, double drain them when our creatures die, and triple Examiner. Get 3 clues every turn. Oh my god, I can double up too. I don't have enough evidence for that. Okay. Doppelgang MVP. We knew that the second we drafted the card, obviously. You pack one, pick one, a Doppelgang, you build your entire deck around getting to it. But still, it's insane the things that this card does. That's gotta be lethal on board. The +X trick. With all the life drain. Oh yeah, it was lethal before the life drain. Jeez. Alright, disgusting stuff from Doppelgang.deck. We remain undefeated all the way into a very positive record here, 4-0, I believe, heading into game number 5. Alright, here we are on the draw for game number 5. If our opponent's a pretty aggressive deck, we're going to have some issues. We are not really affecting the board much at all early, but we can set up our mana, draw multiple cards, and get ready for good late game plays. They're a blue deck. Honestly, if this were like when the set first came out, I probably would have mulliganed this immediately. But we've been playing against a lot of slower decks today, so less worried about having the immediate blocks and stuff. I feel like these flashback drafts have been giving a slightly skewed view of murders at Karlov Manor. We just have not seen the... Well, I did a relatively aggressive blue-white Detectives tempo deck, but really nowhere near the nightmare stuff you usually see. Oh, I forgot the Strider just lets me play the Deduce already. I should have waited. Because I could have deduced even without cycling the Panther. Which means I could have held up Mutation and then deduced if I didn't use it. It's too preoccupied. Talking about scary aggro when we've seen Almost no scary aggro. Okay, so the Filched Falcon, they need 2 more artifacts for that to do anything other than draw 1 card. If they do get the 3 artifacts, then they get to get a 4/4 bird. Make one of their clue tokens a 4/4 bird. This looks like it played out fine. Yeah, it played out perfectly fine, luckily. They had nothing to really care about countering. I'm just going to pass here. We'll mutation if something good shows up, and we will deduce and draw 2 if nothing good does. Crack the clue. They hit the land drop and pass the turn. Let's double deduce. We've got the Doppelgang coming up no matter what now. I like the play the face down, and I have mutation up to counter unless they pay 2. If they play something really scary. And if not, then, well, I've got my disguise flip coming up to get to a huge Doppelgang a little bit quicker now. Crime Stopper Sprite, that's fine. That resolves. Send the 2/1 in. Yeah, you got it. So my mana away from a Killer Among Us and still having mutation up. Play the big blocker for the sprite. And have a mutation up. Not flipping our face down this turn, sadly. My mana off from that while still playing the blocker. Spread the love. Big Strider. Great stuff so far. Get an 8th land on the board, a 9th into the hand, play the 9th next turn. I might be just working towards an 11 mana Doppelgang, honestly. I think I am here. Because I'm under like no pressure, they're just so stuck on mana. They're already going to have to expend as many resources as possible dealing with what I currently have out. And then once I hit 11 mana, it's just going to be like, alright, well, now I'm just unstoppable. Four, 5, 7, 8, 9. I have all 11. I just need to get enough turns to play them all. Unless we pay 2, we'll pay the 2, but they do stop Inspector from blocking now. Prophet's Eidetic Memory. Draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on the board. Every extra card they draw gives them a +1/+1 counter in combat. So if they draw like 2 in one turn, they get 2 +1/+1 counters in combat. Surveillance Monitor is beautiful, giving us a good play for this turn. It's very nice. To double check what I chose. They're down to 5. Now, more than anything, I'm just kind of fingers crossed they don't concede. So that I get to Doppelgang for x equals 3, because that's going to be insanity. But if they concede, cool, we're 5-0. Coerce to Kill. Oh my god. 3 copies of Coerce to Kill? No! They were very dead on board. So, the last second concession. No 9 permanent Doppelgang. Fair enough. Fair enough. We are still 5-0 heading into game number 6. Here we are for game number 6. Oh, do I finally get to die to aggro? I'm 5-0, come at me. Bring it on, let it happen. I deserve it at this point. We gotta get a bad matchup at some point. Yeah, this is blue-white detective tempo aggro here. Very, very nice archetype. My favorite archetype to draft in the set. We played it last draft if you want to see it in action on our side of the table for a 7-win run. Alright, they're holding up their own counterspell. Joke's on you, I didn't want to play Monitor yet anyway. Jaded Analyst. Now we're just flipping up our friend, getting a bunch of mana. The counterspells in this format are all like counter unless you pay 2, counter unless you pay 3. So once we have the mana, it's going to be really not very helpful. So force them to pay the ward and then flip it up is how you want to play that when you have a flip you want to use, but they're killing your card. Where the fixing though? Gobby. Everyone expects the goblin, so no one expects the goblin. Nice. Nice. They suspected the merfolk. Oh, well. That works too. What is going on? I'm gonna draw every forest and island in the deck before I hit fixing to find white or any other spell for my evidence. Taking 1 damage on board. Well, 4 because they are cracking the clue. Oh. Not doing it. I can main phase 2 this after cracking a Killer Among Us. Another Analyst. They might wait on the clue then. They do. They do indeed. Hello, Plains. Perfectly timed. Disregard everything I said about you being late. You're so fine. You're so valid, Plains. Alright, so they're going to be able to unlock the Case of the Gateway Express here, which is pretty strong. But it doesn't buff their cards right now, it buffs them in the next swing. Not that that really matters, because I already can't block the current Analysts that well. Another Consultant. No clues, no clues, no clues. Alright, they don't have any clues. Speaking of clues... Sucks I have to wait to take damage to use that, but... It is what it is. Binding the Monitor. Binding the 4/4, that's fair too. They actually have really good attacks on board now. Oh no, Consultant can still... The Analysts can't attack, so I lied. They don't actually have that good of attacks. I think I'm pushing. Hello. Big draw. The Dream Team, in fact. Monitor plus Examiner, get the double trigger. Clue and a flyer. I no longer care as much about this Phantom, but I can still play push just to have all the evidence engraved for next turn, so I will. Oh, I could just use the evidence right now. Is this once per turn? No. Is this once per turn? No. Sick. Wombo combos over here. Auspicious Arrival pre-combat to crack the clue, attack with all three and get the buffs. It's exactly the evidence for an evidence examiner to trigger again. Jesus, this deck. Oh, man. I think it's crazy. Projector Inspector, draw a card, discard a card. Poke for 2, you got it. Down to 8. I have not drawn enough spells to have more evidence for you, Inspector. Which means we're actually chilling on blocks at this point. I need evidence 6 for that card. 4 evidence for evidence examiner. So if I let the monitor trade off on blocks, then I get another clue next turn. Maybe you should have still sent the Thopters in, since I'm actually kind of okay with the monitor dying now. With a Doppelgang still in my deck, I think I'd rather have another flyer and draw another card than this. And I also thin a land out. Is that the last land in my deck? Okay. I'm on 100% gas now by doing this as well. Ooh. I have a lot of cards that don't even work with the worm at this point, so I'm probably cascading something to the bottom now. Yep. It would be the exact top card of my deck. So now I know I'm not doppelganging this game. That's kind of sad. But I can win it without doppelgang. I think I used all my shuffle cards. No, not yet. I have another Panther in the deck somewhere. But now I'm discarding the Panther literally just to shuffle towards Doppelgang. Probably worth it still, though. They still got no flyers. Non-land permanent. Get their makeshift binding here. At 8 life, it almost feels safer to exile the Furtive Courier in case they get any clue tokens to make that unblockable. Ooh, that's very bad. I would be dead right now if I didn't exile the unblockable card. That is really, really gross. Oh, I am still dead right now? Oh my god, really? Out gold. Out cold is a dumb magic card. That game was very winnable. I just haven't been playing the format enough recently to have played around out cold. God dang it. 5-1 it is. Playing against a red deck here for game number 8 on the draw. But no 2-drop from them. You do love to see it. Red, green, blue, so splashy green stuff. Cranko! Yikes. Whenever they crack a clue, they get a goblin out. That's not good for me. I need to hold up my exile spell here. Overdoing anything else. Okay. Chill flyer. So we have face down, then mutation, then worm. They kill the face down, it's awkward, because then I don't have anything to mutation with. But at least it taps them out of everything, because the ward. Bad draw's bad. I can't believe I got every land in my deck last game as well, with like still like 10 cards left in the library. I got it down to just 10 non-land draws and then died. Okay, I'm concerned at this point about counters. Alright, well, let's see what this is. It's like a bubble smuggler or something. Oh my god, it's the 6/7. I have to hold up not on my watch at this point. I can't make Examiner big enough to win this fight. That does not do anything right now. But I could turn any clue token they make into a 4/4 flying beast. Well, I can't counter it regardless. I don't have a creature out. Play around the counter unless they pay 2 by leading with the worm. Oh, come on. If I led with the clue, I would have drawn the exile at attacking creature. But now I just got a chump again. That's so tilting. Because there's so many cards that have been way better to cast the worm first than crack the clue. Like if they have counter unless I pay 2. If the top card of my deck is destroy target tapped creature or exile permanent. Of course, this can't be countered. Alright, that game was just really, really bad variance for us all around. Everything just lined up horribly. So 5-2 it is, heading into game number 8. All right, here we are for game number 8. We are 5-2 right now. If we played a little differently, we could be 6-1 right now. This deck has played out super, super well. I think it's capable of the 7 winner if we play real tight and get decently lucky these last couple games. So we'll see if we can't rally into another trophy run as we get this game started off. It's an excellent opening hand. We have Not on My Watch against their first aggressive threat, Buried in the Garden against the next threat from there, and even if I don't hit a blue source specifically, Buried in the Garden will also fix my mana to cast Evidence Examiner. This is a very, very nice opener for the grindy, rampy green deck. Opponent does keep, and they are on the play, so if they are an aggro deck, they are super favored by that. And they are red. I did say we got our 5 wins out of the way, so I'm fine just losing to running up against the Boros aggro menace. But it's not going to happen. No Boros aggro at all, still, today. Pretty wild. I'm not going to play around a 3-mana haster here. There's not a ton of haste in this format. Okay, that costs 2 mana to really do anything about yet, so let's just play our face down. So I need 2 in addition to any removal spell, which we do not have. If I can get them to spend all their mana flipping this up to kill Inspector, I'll be pretty happy. If this is exactly Dog Walker, that's also fine, because then we just trade and then they get the dog. There's probably 1 or 2 cards. It'd be bad for me if it was. Like anything that flips up for only 2 mana. If they could flip it up and play a 2-drop this turn. But it looks like they're just not going to flip it, and we just stop the damage there. Are they going to shock Inspector? No, play 10 Street Gossip, sure. Great target for our removal spell. Okay, so the Trampled Garden. 2 +1/+1 counters on the board? Well, so much for blocking this turn. If they get 8 power or greater onto the board, then they give a +1/+1 counter and trample to an attacking creature every turn. That's pretty good if it gets solved. I need to flip this and get to my Enlisted Worm mana, I think. But I'm also tempted to Not on My Watch, so I think it's best to just be holding up all the mana to do either. And just decide based on their play next turn. Oh, I should have attacked both. I was thinking of this being able to grab 2 forests, but one goes into our hand and the other's on board. So this is going to turn into a 3/3, not a 4/4, so it is not a relevant blocker. I should have sent it in as well. Just got the maths wrong. It's gonna be a cheap Not on My Watch. Not that it matters, I don't get to do anything else with the other 2 mana. But I did soak up all their mana for that turn, which is very nice. Hey, a good cascade this game. Huge one. This time, it's the Goblin again. Red is sus. Put them to 14. with an empty board. They've got 3 cards in hand to try to flip this board state around because we have a million creatures thanks to Amogus. And there's the concession. That is 6-2 now, despite our best efforts with our first loss that we definitely could have won. Or our second loss? I don't remember. One of our losses. We could have won for sure if we played better. We still made it all the way to the final battle with this deck, which is awesome, especially getting to show the 2 very differing spectrums of the format. It's one of the more aggressive-oriented decks and one of the much slower decks here with this green build. 6-2, heading into the final battle, our final game of Magic for today, win or lose. All right, that is a definite keep here. Great mana, early removal, everything you want. I'm going to start with Strider and not on my watch. I don't want to put Evidence Examiner at risk of any removal until the turn that it automatically gives me a clue token. Got to be a 2-for-1 at least. Another not on my watch. You love it. You love to see it. Another slower deck here. Some green-blue build. Just hanging out. There's the face down. Just some mana for us. Slime Collector, sure. There's Buried in the Garden now. Yeah, ramp up, still have removal up. Not for a face down, but I'm not going to need to try to exile the face down unless they flip it to kill my Strider. Eavesdropper, that card's pretty excellent. 4 mana 3/3 plus a clue token for later. Seems pretty awkward without casting the not on my watch just to have the evidence. But now I'm going to exile an Eavesdropper, so it's all good. One piece of evidence in the grave. Hexproof till end of turn? Alright, a 2-for-2. I spend 2 removal spells. They lose a creature and a combat trick counter. And now we start drawing cards. Draw push-pull for a bunch of evidence later. I don't need the Inspector down, and with a card like push-pull that single-handedly gives me a bunch of evidence, it's possible I could have a double collect evidence turn with Examiner later if I hold on to Inspector. I could actually cast Pull. That's wild. Because I have Strider plus Buried in the Garden? Does that even matter? No, there's no creatures in graves right now, but later 2 creatures from a single grave onto the battlefield under your control, give them haste and sack them in the end step. If there's some really powerful abilities on creatures that I could use for 1 turn, that might end up being worth it. Pretty unlikely. I guess if the Surveillance Monitor ends up dead, but I don't think it will. I could cast it just to put the evidence in my grave to draw a card. Just 6 mana to cycle it. 8 mana to cycle it because it's 6 to cast, and then 2 to crack the clue. Yeah, no, at this point I'm just gonna get wide. We're just chilling, we're waiting for our strong cards. Enlisted Worm, Doppelgang, Double Repulsive Mutation. All those in the bottom 25 somewhere. So still a decent amount of lands in the bottom 25. I don't know what this creature is. This is probably for my courier or something. They went this way was a solid draw. We ripped another land out of the deck. Cracked a clue to draw another card. Solid value. If they have their own repulsive mutation, we kind of just scoop to that card. I'm just going to take the hit and go for a pull during our turn, or a push during our turn. Although that would still be enough. They can do green, blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, counter unless we pay 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. Yeah, I couldn't cast anything through repulsive mutation. I think I'm digging for my better cards. Or like a second copy of Not On My Watch would work too. But you know what I can do? Actually, I'm kind of dumb here. I can push the Panther. They'll play the mutation if they have it, and then I just Not On My Watch it unless they have 2 copies of the repulsive mutation. Okay, they may not have it, they just let that happen. Then I feel safe to rack the clue here. And only have 2 mana up alongside Not On My Watch. We just got so much evidence into our grave that turn. If they don't remove Evidence Examiner, they're going to have problems. Okay, there's their 7th mana. So we're also worried about a potential Doppelgang from them since we are the mirror match. Repulsive Mutation and Doppelgang are the 2 scariest cards in the mirror, and just in general. Double Surveillance Monitor is very good though. Trigger both of them. I've got multiple reach blockers, so we're fine, but that is threatening. Keep the 3 mana value card for that plus Not On My Watch later. Huge. Huge, 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 huge. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. I can repulse a mutation for 8, counter unless they pay 10. Doppelgang me. That's not a doppelgang. Taps one creature. Sure. Okay, now they're tapped out of their own repulsive mutation. Unless they do it without paying any X. And this way I get 2 more mana value engraved to exile a card for Evidence Examiner. I still want to hold 2 up. So I could counter the counter unless you pay 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can still put 5 counters on this board. I think that's more than enough while having 3 mana up for if they have their own compulsive. I guess the bounce spell is annoying. If they play the bounce spell, though, this is still a counter unless they pay 2. And the sprite gets countered regardless. Because then it just goes to, well, now our biggest creature is 2 power. So counter the sprite unless they pay 2. They do go for their own. I'll pay the 3. That feels so good. Like I specifically wanted to perfectly play around Repulsive Mutation, and we did it these last few turns. And then our opponent did not realize the extra buried in the guard mana, which like super wins that exchange. Because now their Repulsive just didn't do anything. That was as perfect as things could have been. Yeah, that's rough for our opponent, the oops there. But we take what we can get here. Massive turn for us. Now we have the Doppelgang. Hoping they don't have double Repulsive Mutation. Because I'm not going to cast it right now for just 1. I'll wait till I untap. Out cold. Be so happy if they tap out here. Even if it involves me taking a bunch of damage. If I just know that Doppelgang resolves, I know I'm winning this game. Oh, I know I'm probably winning this game. That is a lot of flyers. But I'm going to get like 3 copies of Surveillance Monitor. Alright, if their last card in hand is a second Repulsive Mutation, they probably cast it in response to Not on My Watch. Get the flyer here. I guess it would be, if they had another Repulsive, it would be counter unless I pay 4. Which I could still afford right now, so I guess if they have double Repulsive, they have double Repulsive. I actually don't get to play around it here too much. Okay, they tap out a green. Let's go. Let's go. How big is this Doppelgang even? Because it's a lot. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana? Oh my god. It's a Doppelgang for X is 4? Holy. There's no shot. Is this gonna happen? Buried in the Garden? Surveillance Monitor? Surveillance Monitor? How much evidence I got engraved? I got enough. I got enough evidence. And then... Evidence Examiner? Do I have the mana for that? Oh my god, Doppelgang X equals 4. I should have still done it for 3 to hold up Reasonable Doubt in case they had a Reasonable Doubt. That was greedy, but I still win. I couldn't resist. What is happening? Why Why does it want me to attach 50 buried in the gardens? Okay, just I have to click and then submit one. Okay. There we go. Okay, I should have just done x equals 3. That still would have been enough. Oh! Yo! Okay, that one's getting targeted already. Where am I? This is magical Christmas land. How many Thoppers am I about to get? 8? Oh, watch this. Holy triggers, Batman! Okay, this is actually the best draft format of all time. Disregard anything I ever said about this being mid. I'm a criminal. I am the murderer at Karlov Manor. We are 7-2. Do you think I had fun with all those triggers, Arena? Do you really need to ask? 7-2 Doppelgang gives us that final victory there. We pack one, pick one Doppelgang, never looked back, built completely around the card, playing a bunch of defensive removal, ramp, counter spells and stuff to just delay the game until we get far enough into the deck that we draw that Doppelgang consistently. Again, tons of card draw, removal, ramp. We ended most of those games with like 10 cards in our library because we were just waiting for that big late game Doppelgang, and it worked out so well. That was an excellent look at the big green rampy grindy control-y builds you can play in Murders at Karlov Manor if you don't want to be the white or red based aggro decks that are so strong. That was a wonderful time, even if it was a little closer than it needed to be. And there was one of those losses that 100% could have been a win if I played it a little differently. A 7-2 run lets us play the maximum number of games possible, playing with this beauty of a deck for as long as possible. So I will absolutely take it, and I'll take my maximum prize out of this Murders at Karlov Manor quick draft. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.